You guys keep going to the wrong side of the fence, okay? You're arguing the wrong point. See where you're coming from?
Mm-hmm.
You're saying basically we're at war with them. No, they're at war with us.
Well, actually what I was saying is that you could look at it both ways. They would say we're at war with them.
No, you got to look at it one way, okay?
Okay, the actual way.
I said they're the occupying force.
And basically we gave them a trust deed, okay? We entrusted our assets to them, to the government, for a specific purpose. And that specific purpose was to basically take care of the debts of the country. They were to use that as collateral and basically pay off the debts. They have overstepped that boundary and gone into war bonds against that. Therefore, declaring war on the living people. Because they're a corporation, a for-profit corporation now. See, they've got two sides. They've got the original constitutional side of government, which was to keep the peace. The 1871 side of government became the warring side of government. And they're at war with everybody. Hell, just take a look around. War on drugs, war on poverty, war on smoking, war on sex, war on everything. They're at war with everything that's basically for man. You need to go into Anderson's dictionary and look up treaty. Okay? It's in there. When you look up treaty, you'll see that basically there's some items that need to be addressed. Trying to find the other one that I had here. Looks like I lost it. But anyway, peace, when you look up in Anderson's dictionary, you'll find out that it has some items in there. But in treaty, okay, the ones that hold the power to keep the treaty are the courts. They have the judicial power. Shall extend to all cases in law and equity arising under this Constitution, the laws of the United States, and treaties made, or which shall be made under their authority. The Constitution is a treaty with the people. The state constitutions are treaties between the state and the people, the state government and the people. The Articles of Confederation were a treaty also, as was the Declaration of Independence. A contract between two or more independent nations. You are basically classified as an independent individual. A nation of one. I was on to that about 3 years ago. trying to get back up here to where I was.
You're talking about a nation of one and a treaty, for the people.
Pull up Anderson's dictionary and go and pull up treaty. Okay? Read the damn thing.
I'm getting there, but I don't know if anybody else is good. They can read it, but I'm trying to get there.
Well, you get there and basically just keep mute, okay? And then read it. Everybody else, you pull it up. Mike learned something reading the damn dictionaries for a damn change. Instead of listening to everybody else out here going here and there like you're still doing. I'm trying to get out of the system. I don't know what the fuck you guys want to do. Okay? You want a little tidbit here and there and basically, oh, this guy's got a remedy over here, so let's go hop with him.
No, we're keeping up with you, Patrick. We're not going off with anybody.
You don't have to say anything, Steve, okay?
All right.
Articles of the Peace. Complaint on oath to a magistrate of reasonable fear of harm to self or property from which another threatens. Articles to keep the peace. The accused gives security to appear at the next quarter session and meanwhile to keep the peace towards all persons. Now, bill of peace. A bill brought by a person to establish and perpetrate a right which he claims and which from its nature may be convorted by different persons at different times and by different actions, or where separate attempts have already been unsuccessfully made to overthrow the same right. The justice requires that the party should be quieted in the right. And if it is already sufficiently established, or if it should be sufficiently established under the direction of the court. Okay? I sent these war bonds in, basically ordering the termination and liquidation of the war bonds to the Secretary of State last Friday. Then the more I got to thinking about it, I said, wait a minute, let me go check something out here. Well, when you pull up the damn treaty, it says right in there that basically the courts. Then when you further go on and read, let's see, let me get it here. Okay, Constitutional right, a right guaranteed to a person by the Constitution of the United States or a state constitution, and so guaranteed as to prevent legislative interference with that right. Now, they got you into a trust, a constructive trust, but it was also a deed inter partes, a deed executed by grantor and grantee. Okay? That deed, and a deed executed by the person named therein as grantor and grantee, as distinguished from the deed executed by the agent or attorney of one of the parties. The deed for transfer from grantor to grantee was that certificate of live birth after 90 days. It was from you and the state. You just didn't know that you were basically given concurrence. It wasn't by your mother. It wasn't by anybody else. You were underage. Isn't that a violation right there? Of signing that contract. Voidable deed, an instrument which, although defective, is operative to convey the property until set aside by the court. A voidable deed. A voidable contract. A contract which, although defective, so as to be avoided by one of the parties, is valid and binding until it is avoided by a disaffirmance. Well, what the hell's disaffirmance? Disaffirmance. The repudiation of a voidable obligation or deed, sometimes by the subsequent conveyance of the same premise to a third person. Then you have to look up repudiation. And you're going to have to go to some more than just one dictionary. A denial of validity or of authority, refusal to recognize the obligation asserted as a binding one. You're under no obligation whatsoever to that damn certificate of live birth. And basically they were set up in fraud. They were supposed to terminate after the usage. The biggest lie in this country is in God we trust. What a crock of bullshit. The government don't trust in anything. Only their back pocket. Treaty trader, an alien entitled to enter the United States solely to carry on trade under and in pursuance of the provisions of an existing treaty between the country of which he is a national and the United States. You ever heard of Indian trader?
Yeah.
I think it's been used more than once out there. Unjust, unfair, contrary to justice. All human actions are either just or unjust, as they are in conformity to or in opposition to law. But you got to know what laws you're under, and you're not under the codes of law. Conceal, to keep facts secret or withhold them from the knowledge of another, to hide or secret physical objects from sought or observation. You could read the rest of it. Concealer, a person who was employed to discover lands which had been secretly kept from the king. Concealment, a suppression of or neglect to disclose facts which a person knows and which he ought to communicate. The non-disclosure of a fact which should be revealed. Fraud, American jurisprudence. But basically, we have to take this to court. Because the justices are per what is in Anderson's dictionary calls out there. And we have to make it a peace bill or what did I say? Peace bill or a bill of peace or articles of the peace. That's what we put in our treaty. Our treaty of peace. Most of it is already in the constitutions. All we have to do is get them out of the warring side of the system and brought over to the peace side. Because now if these justices do not comply, who is in breach of peace? They are. You can go through all the breaches also. They're in breach of the duty of office. Because their number one responsibility is to keep the peace. And when we claim our peace has been disrupted, they have to act. See, we're not the breakers of the peace, okay? The corporations are the breakers of the peace. They constantly break all actions, peace actions, because they have no morals. You also have to bring your relatives into peace. Now, when we come in and basically get in peace, then we return our assets now to the office of special trustee. Right now, our assets are really being held away from them. That's why we can't claim anything out of that office yet, is because it's not on deposit there. Same thing with our relatives. They're laying on the battlefield. They're not at peace in that grave. They're still just war fodder. You have to bring them to peace. And normally the one that brings, like his father and his mother, to peace is the oldest son. At least that's the way it was supposed to be. Then once you have brought them to peace, their assets will now be deposited into that office of special trustee. Then, like one of the girls called up there and talked to him, and one of the girls there in the office just happened to be a Native American Indian, and she says, well, you can only make a claim if you've got the relative's account there. We haven't put our relative's account into that position yet. It's still laying on the battlefield. And that's where we are right now. We're still on the battlefield. We have to come in peace and get off the battlefield. You're going to have to think about how you want to write this up. But you're going to have to look at some of these words and the information about treaty when you write it up. Send it in to your state district court judge, your federal district court judge, and to your chief justice for the circuit. I did all three of them. But any bar, bar, broker, authorized representative, they're able to adjudicate any war bonds that have been written out here. That's basically what I was trying to do with the damn driver's license when I was in court there before. Now I have more justification, and I will take these guys down if they want to play that game. But I will take it to a higher court. In a lot of cases, some of these low-level nitwits don't know anything about this. It's got to be bumped up to a chief judge or somebody in that caliber, or even one of the senior judges in the background. There's always a judge over any other judge in the background. Trying to cover their ass for them.
Well, I don't know where Chris went, but you guys were talking before about these charitable trusts or whatever you want.
Don't bring it up, okay? I'm talking about a deed of trust. And that's what that certificate of live birth was originally, its original intent was to be a deed of trust to them, but they have overstepped their bounds and now started to write war bonds against that, continuing to use it. because we didn't come in and claim it. You want to stop the wars? Take the money away from these guys. You go and you become a neutral. But you're not a neutral in that you cannot inform other people of their rights out here. You're not in conflict when you're doing that, because that is a natural right here in this country. See, this is a special type of war that's being fought here between the living and the dead. The dead being the corporations, the bloodsuckers, the vampires, the bankers, whatever you want to call them. But I think you'll get a good handle if you read peace and treaty out of Anderson's Law Dictionary. Breach of the peace, an act of assault or violence, a violation of public order, the offense of disturbing the public peace. And that's what these corporations constantly do. They constantly violate the public peace. I was hoping to have a little more, but basically I got tied up and my mind was going in several different directions, and then I got tied up doing something else, and I lost my train of thought, so I'm probably going to be up all night long trying to work this up to send it out in the morning. But that does not stop you guys from doing your own thinking for a change. I've given you the guidelines of what you need to do. And you put an order in, and basically you order them to basically terminate those warring instruments that are in usage right now. Because the contract was voidable from the get-go. You were underage. And then at the age of 21, they turned around and they started using it as a warring instrument against you. That's number 2. The grantee is not to cause harm to the grantor. Okay, there any questions? Otherwise, I'm going to cut this off short tonight.
How are we supposed to bring our parents into peace if they're not in this process?
You worry about yourself right now. Then when they die, then you can take care of it.
Well, we won't be able to access the accounts until they die then if they're not in peace?
Huh?
I might have misunderstood what you said, but you said unless they're in peace, then nothing's going to be getting deposited into the accounts for us to have access to.
Let's get this straight.
Here we go.
You ain't going to get shit until you get your fucking account. Okay? When you get your account, then you might have some time to read the damn definitions in the dictionary and figure out how to take care of their account.
Oh, okay.
I misunderstood you. I thought you said we had to have both accounts in peace before anyone
No,
could access
you
anything.
basically, if you can bring their account in peace if they're dead.
That's like, I can't bring my son in unless I'm free. That makes sense.
Okay, now I understand what you're saying now. I was just a little confused. Wanted to make sure I had it right.
Okay. You guys go read the definitions, listen to the call a couple times, and basically see if you get anything out of it. Then you can ask questions tomorrow night. Good night.
Sure. That's good. Thank you, Patrick.